once again. We had some great feedback on the live we just did. Just to let everybody know, this past weekend we did take a little bit of time off just to be with the family. It was a beautiful weekend and we enjoyed it, and it was awesome because it's rainy now, and so it's supposed to be rainy and dark for the next week. And so what I would like to talk about is a few changes with what we're doing in our formatting and planning, etc., for some of these educational things. COVID-19 kind of sort of took over everything. We were doing some podcasts, educational things, and COVID-19 hit. And since January 30th, we've been COVID-19 24/7. The last about week and a half, things have kind of slowed down a little bit. There's been no major changes with stuff. The CDC has once again changed their outlook, and they're now saying that bags and objects actually don't potentially spread COVID-19, which is something we talked about probably about a month and a half ago. That's really hard to transmit this on cellulose objects. As well, with reopening, states like Florida and Georgia are not seeing huge spikes, which that's a big deal. That was one of the concerns was that was that we have these spikes, and it'd be pretty bad, and we're not seeing that. So what I'd like to do, and this past weekend when we had some time just to kind of think and be with the family, one of the concepts that we were contemplating is the idea of resilience. And that's something that's hasn't been really talked about a whole lot, but resilience, building your body's ability to withstand the winds and storms of life. And those winds could be COVID-19, they could be influenza, they could be natural aging, they could be a lot of different things. But a lot of the concepts we've been talking about, nutrients like vitamin C, like D, like NAC or N-acetylcysteine, it's amazing that something like NAC by itself can decrease your risk for a viral flu-like respiratory tract infection 50%. These are things that can build your resiliency. Stress reduction, sleep. If you sleep 2 hours less a night, you increase about 50% your chance. No, I'm sorry. You have about a fourfold increased risk for having a complicated viral influenza lung infection. So there's many things that you can do. There's also been some miscommunication with these media. Some of the feedback we've been getting is people feeling like they can't really do anything, like this is out of control and they're kind of just at the mercy of the COVID virus. And the point of all these things are there are major things you can do that can impact your immune system, your health in a massive way. Half of all chronic disease can be directly related to consuming processed foods. That's a huge thing. Sleep has a massive impact on your immune system. Stress. Interesting enough, we had done a stress podcast and just never got around to posting it, which hopefully we'll do here in the next week or two. But stress is a huge modulator of your immune system, of your innate immune system being able to fight off viruses and even cancers. So what we like to do is kind of transition back to what we were doing before, which was basic education about resilience, how to boost your health, maximize your health and your immune system. And as things with COVID-19 pop up, we'll probably talk about them, new things. If you have questions, please put those on social media and we'll address those as appropriate. But I want to kind of switch back to like the core relationship. Figured out friends are important. This was a great time to figure that out when people have had relationship deprivation. It's been pretty negatively impactful on people's health. These things like relationships are huge things. Certain cultures, actually, the relationship itself boosts their longevity, like blue zones, for example, places where people live to be over 100 years old, more than any other place in the world. So we want to transition a little bit, go to these core things, continue to revisit COVID-19, but in a little different light, and just things you can do to take charge of your health. Society, our politicians, our leaders, our state governing bodies are going to kind of try to figure out how we're going to navigate this. But ultimately, you as an individual, what you have to do is what's right for your family, what's right for you. Maybe not being as super committed to so many things where you can't spend time with your family and friends. We'll talk about some of these concepts, but the main thing is just to give you some tools to empower yourself, to take charge of your health, and to be resilient, because this will probably come back in the fall. Things are changing a little bit. It appears, right now, 10% of Boston actually has already had COVID-19. Over 25% of New York City has already been infected. So, some areas in the country are already closer to herd immunity. But here in Virginia, for example, our numbers are probably in the less than 5% range. We haven't really tested in the state, so we don't quite know. But the point is, there are other things you can do to take charge of your health, to boost your resilience, and we want to be there to kind of provide you this basic information to be able to do that. So as you have questions, please continue to post those. We're trying to, again, shift away from all the different static out there that's just kind of non-information, just regurgitation of the same information. Focus on things you can actually do to take charge of your health. So again, I hope this has been helpful. I hope it continues to be helpful. We're just really actually, the reason we're doing this now is because so many people, when the part 2 was posted tonight, were like worried about our health and stuff, which was nice to know people are concerned about us. So I just want to say thanks for your concern, and hopefully we continue to be a resource for you and your friends and your family. Continue to share it. One of the things I've actually learned is some super academic resources from certain universities are getting taken down on YouTube and different social media outlets because they use the 4-letter word COVID, right? So it's just one of those things. If you feel like this is useful, you have to share it with your friends, because there's a lot of surveillance going on in social media, which is unfortunately going on. So anyway, take care. Have a great night. My wife is going.
Hi, I'm the one who is in charge of. It's not going to show me if I don't come around close to you. Sorry, we don't have to social distance.
Okay.
We're sort of transitioning between COVID life and a little bit more back towards our normal life. One of our kids has been in amazing teletherapy this whole time, and we're still balancing that and therapy with a couple of our kids, and our normal life is starting to kind of pick back up social distancing style, and it's gotten a little more overwhelming to try to balance all of the business posting with the normal life. So apologies that we're doing the best that we can. So if things are a little behind, that will explain that.
Yeah. And I sometimes get a little too excited and send my wife lots of articles to post, and it gets a little overwhelming. So she has a little bit of a backlog on that. So anyway, we're happy to be able to be a resource. That's kind of one of our ways of giving back, to hopefully help others kind of make it through this time and continue to do that. I mean, things are still transitioning. There's going to be a lot of societal changes, educational changes, food sourcing changes, interactions with dentists, healthcare providers, many changes to come. I've also been thinking about what the new society is going to look like, for better or for worse. And these are kind of things, the conversations we're going to talk about and have in a safe place. I probably shouldn't say that because that has different connotations, but in a way that can be, it's not biased, it's just my thoughts, but also that we can kind of have these discussions. So anyway, everybody have a great night. Take care.